What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another chance encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with two different people. We got Christy and we got Margot. Let's start with Christy. Christy, how you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. And Margot, how about you? How you doing today?
I'm doing great too, and it's fun to be on with you. Thanks a lot.
All right, and I got extra great news for the two of you. I don't know if you're aware of this, but today we are joined by my very favorite member of the audience. And why is my favorite audience member here? It's because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate people. That means deal sponsors, investors, buyers, sellers, all that kind of stuff. And you might be thinking, why would you do that? And the answer is, if you've ever heard of private, off-market, sometimes called 506B deals, then you should know that the SEC requires that you have documentation of your prior substantive relationship, or else they'll get ants in their pants and take your business. So that's part of what we're up to. But the benefit to you is you'll learn how to more effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate deals and understand how my guests fit into those deals. But before we get too excited about real estate, let's give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. Margot, let's start with you.
Well, I have been involved in real estate for most of my life. I've been a real estate agent in residential real estate for a number of years. I've done commercial deals as a real estate agent, but I started heavily investing in commercial real estate about 2018 after years of flipping single family houses and that kind of thing, rentals and so forth, and started out in multifamily and kind of got excited about that, got my feet wet, and have currently 520 doors. But it wasn't working in the last couple of years. There weren't deals, things weren't happening. A lot of deals that I'm in were having some issues. And Christy and I had started working together, and we decided to make the switch to self-storage, and we love it.
Excellent, excellent. And Christy, how about you?
So my story is oddly similar to Margot. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. I held a broker's license. I had a real estate and mortgage company in California. And then I switched to really focusing on working with investors, finding properties for them to flip. That morphed into, hey, why do single family flips when you can flip apartment buildings? Just a longer time frame. And then again, along the same thing with Margot, we couldn't find the returns on deals within multifamily. And so self-storage came along. The opportunity is incredible within the sector. We got excited about it together. And, we just closed on our second self-storage facility in March. So it's definitely where we want to be. And we're excited to talk about it, but just investing in general, it's in both of our blood.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So let's get started with the first segment. It's the 5 distinct motivations in commercial real estate. But before that, I got to say, but wait, check your 8. Guys, I don't know if you can do this or not, if you have the techno savvy enough, but maybe you can see through the camera and down there might be this hideous subscribe button that it's just embarrassing if you haven't, because people, okay, it's a silly joke, but whatever. Anyway, the 5 distinct motivations. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to have guests like I have today where they could teach me mountains of things, and then other times I have people who are newer to the game, but regardless, everybody has their own unique why as far as what's getting them into commercial real estate, what's keeping them doing what they're doing. And the reason why it's relevant if you are in the business is is because you need to know, well, hey, these deals take months to close, they take years to go full cycle. What's going to keep this person from throwing in the towel when the going gets tough? And even though we have these unique reasons, these different faces and names that are most important to us, I found that they fit pretty neatly into these 5 categories, and that's why I go through them in each episode. The first one of which is preservation of purchasing power. What on earth is that? Well, some people, they don't need to have a W-2 to pay their bills. The way that they do is they just use the proceeds of ownership. So they have a portfolio of assets, and whatever money comes in the form of profit from ownership, that's how they pay their bills. Now, if you're in that situation, or if you're thinking about people who are in that situation, you might say, well, why would you go through the hassle of another acquisition? And there are a couple reasons that stand out. One of them is if inflation rears its ugly head, then it's going to eat away from the purchasing power of your cash flow. And then the other one is when you can buy at a steep discount. And of course, everybody should try to purchase at the steepest discount they possibly can. But people in this situation, they don't have the need to be acquiring all the time. So they're going to slide in if there's distress or an asset crash or something like that. Now, I'm not that far in my commercial real estate career yet, but what describes me better is trading time for wealth. Now, if you've ever pursued a bigger and better salary, I was in the tech sector. I ended up opening up my own CRM agency, and that's how I got more successful than the average Joe. But eventually I started doing that work for a real estate company that was flipping 10 houses a month like clockwork before I ever started. And that made me realize that you have this tremendous tax burden as someone who receives salary, so it makes more sense to pivot and find some way to be rewarded for my efforts in the form of deployed capital or little slivers of equity. So that's what I'm up to, and I get that that's a little too subtle for some people, especially a lot of youngsters. As the youngsters, they're more focused on hustling like crazy right now so that they don't have to later. But the more ubiquitous motivation for this one here is that you want to own your own schedule. You want to work fewer months per year or fewer weeks per month, or you just want to be able to spend more time with your family. All of these are basically, work hard now so you can do what's important to you throughout your career. And that's a great reason. The only pitfall is a lot of people who have this as their motivation, they think it's everybody secretly, and they're just hiding it in various degrees. But I assure you that's not the case. There are some people who are fueled purely by ambition. They want that generational wealth. They want to buy their entire hometown and make sure that their great-grandchildren never have to hold a day job. And of course, in some circles that's vilified, but if you really think about it for a sec, you'll realize how important it is to have people like this when it comes to running commercial properties, because they're the ones who are going to hustle into their 90s. They're going to keep with it, and they're not going to be asleep at the wheel. Just like this last group, but they're not so much worried about their own generational wealth. They've picked a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment or animals or something like that, and they figured out that there's a massive financial component to making a big impact, and that's why they're looking at things that have equity multiples and whatnot. It's because of that financial component to make a difference. So I'll start off this time with Christy. As far as these 5 motivations, what combination of them would you say describes you best?
Well, I am a hustler to my core, and real estate is in my blood. And I have always had a great work-life balance, and investing and having a portfolio of passive income is super important to me. Someone who's coming from being a real estate broker or agent, about waking up every day and, what's my deal? I need another deal. You have to stay on that treadmill. Being able to generate passive income, not just for myself, but for investors, for other people, is super important to me. I never had a traditional 401k. I've been self-employed for over 20 years. So this is definitely one of those things that this is why. And, the saying for real estate people, we never retire. We just do bigger deals. Everybody I know in their 70s, 80s who are real estate
Yep.
people,
Yeah.
they're going to sign their last sale PSA on their deathbed, you know? and that's just, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So real estate's in my blood. I was born into it, and I'll die out of it.
I love it. I love it. So Margot, are you going to say, yeah, exactly what she's, no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Not quite exactly. We are very similar in a lot of ways, but unlike Christy, I've never had a good work-life balance. And so I'm working towards having that. And I started into this, well, I kind of got hooked on real estate. So I've loved real estate for years. I didn't grow up with it like Christy, but kind of got started in my 20s with the Robert G. Allen no money down stuff. And, it's evolved from there. But I want to retire. And I have not had the kinds of jobs where I've had retirement. And so this is a very big part of it for me, is to be able to retire and be able to take care of myself well, so that my kids aren't having to take care of me when I'm old. I'd like to take care of them. But, there are other things too. I got started in this with I did have a relatively small 401k, and started to invest in other people's multifamily projects with my 401k, putting it into a self-directed IRA. And man, it just supercharges your money. It's a great way to make that money grow instead of having it sit in a fund. And so that's another thing that's really fun for us right now, is to introduce people to that concept that, you can build wealth with money that you can't do anything with anyway, and that isn't earning anything. So especially if you start early, it's a great thing. But for me, I started late, and it's still going to make it help make it possible for me.
And the illiquid nature of investing in real estate works well with self-directed IRAs and those, because you're in it, you can't do anything, you can't take that money out anyway. So in something that's illiquid is like not a problem.
Right. Now, I do have to step in on two things. One of them is that past performance does not dictate future performance. And so this is not an income claim, just so you know. So that's one of the major ones I had to mention. The other one, I have another podcast format that was specifically for what I think, Margot, you were a little bit coy about it. And I want to call you on it, because I want more people to say it more proudly. Okay. Honestly, there's nothing in this world more important than spending time with your kids.
Yes.
Your family, absolutely 100%. I do think that a W-2 takes away something fundamentally valuable from everybody in their lives that you just cannot get back. And so that part, I want to say it proud. It's called Who Are You Helping? It's because I want people to be, I want it to be normal to say, I never had a chance to spend time with my family. And it sounds pretty nice. It's like, something's calling me to do it. So that's why I just wanted to take a moment and interject on that. But now that we're all starry-eyed and seem all, optimistic and all that kind of stuff, there are risks involved in every business, and real estate is one of the oldest ones out there, one of the most mature ones out there. And so there are risks involved in it. And if you've ever been involved in an off-market deal, one of these private syndications that you're not allowed to talk about publicly, then you probably had to fill out this questionnaire. You really should have, because the SEC, the securities attorney, would have insisted on it. And if there's no securities attorney involved, then you need to run. You don't just walk, you run away from that. But they force you in a 506B syndication to fill out this questionnaire with all sorts of invasive financial questions, like your net worth and all that kind of fun stuff. But when I got to the question about tolerance for risk, I found it lacked utility. In other words, it didn't matter which option you chose. It didn't really give me a clear answer. So I made my own one, which is a fill in the blanks question. It is. There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. Now, your answers can be inside real estate, it can be outside real estate. It's all fine. You can give both if you really want. But let's start with Margot. What's too risky for you to invest in?
For me, it's the stock market, because I just don't know enough about it. I don't understand it. It's not anything I can have any control over. You invest in someone else's thing and you're not doing anything but being an observer.
Mhm.
And that I'm not comfortable with that. You know, I've been in funds, obviously, because I've had a 401k and an IRA, but at least that somebody who knows what they're doing is balancing it. But for me, I'm not going there. I like commercial real estate because, especially being a GP, I have some inside knowledge of what's going on with something I'm involved in and some control over it.
And they don't have a PR department dedicated directly to making everybody think that everything's fine.
That's
So,
true. That's
so yeah,
true.
yeah. So really, like, even if you think you understand stocks, like even in an individual company, it's like you can't, like, there's a level of opaqueness that just, you can't get past. So I love that answer. Christy, how about you?
This is not going to be a popular answer, but I'm going to say anything that's like triple net or office space or long-term leases where you're putting people in 5-year long leases. For me, I'm super uncomfortable with it.
Mhm.
Property taxes change and can be unpredictable depending on where you are. Insurance, look at Florida getting hit with insurance. People are going underwater because they have a certain amount of fixed costs and they have leases that, hey, there's a WALT of another 5 years, 7 years, and you can't do anything about it.
Yep.
So that sector is not for me. And it's one of the things that I absolutely love about self-storage. It's all month to month, and I can make adjustments as necessary, and I'm not going to get hurt. My investors are not going to get hurt. My partner's not going to get hurt. It just feels more comfortable. So, and Margot, I don't know if you know, but when I was with Wells Fargo back in the day, private client services, I had the Series 763 and all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
As soon as I no longer was looking at the two screens, back in my day, we had the, multiple screens. And as soon as I wasn't looking at it, I was no longer comfortable in the real estate market because I wasn't watching it every day and in it. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's
I'm
really
going to
awesome.
think, I want to think on my own merits, not on someone else.
Right, right,
Merits.
yeah, definitely. But let's talk about favorite deal metrics. In full disclosure, I actually skipped this section for the first couple hundred interviews, but that was because I knew that there's some people out there that they're really more like a spokesperson role, front of house PR, marketing, something like that. And so they're not going to be the type of people who can competently dig into the spreadsheets, perform underwriting, figure out these different numbers. But at the same time, you are going to have to name a few to be able to distinguish your deal from others. And I want to make sure that people in the audience, if you end up meeting my guests, that you're speaking their language if you're presenting them with a deal. And just for the people who are only listening and not watching, I'll read out the 14 example metrics that I have up on the screen. It's not an exhaustive list, but the idea being that this way everybody can hear the list at least. So cash on cash, IRR, which is internal rate of return. Then there's cost per door, which is, of course, is a multifamily leaning, cost per unit is another way of looking at it. Then, of course, you have NOI or net operating income. And then there's going in cap rate, which actually is indicating what sort of a discount on the cap rate you're getting compared to other similar properties in that area. Then there's loan interest rate, which is particularly important if there's some sort of seller carry or an assumption of a loan. That's not Canadian speak, I promise. Anyway, then there's occupancy, which is the inverse of vacancy, but it's ultimately the same thing. Then there's the average income where the property is located, the amortization period of the loan, especially if you're going to be assuming it. Then there's the difference between the market versus in-place rents. And then there's the population growth where the property is located. Then there's the sponsorship record, or the sponsor record, which is how many deals have already gone full cycle and how many are on the go right now. The waterfall, split, or exit strategy, which is about what happens to your investment after your capital has been returned. And then you've got the DSCR, which is debt service coverage ratio, which is how much of the revenue from rents is going out the door immediately just in the form of paying the loan. So once again, that's not an exhaustive list, so you're free to pick ones that are off there. I don't know if you guys want to come to a consensus or how you want to handle it, but I'm just going to throw the ball and hope one of you catch it.
Let me jump in. So the metric that I like most is is not really listed on here, and it's going to be total return. Because when I've talked to enough people, interviewed enough people, family offices, big money people, and it's all about how fast am I doubling my money?
Mhm.
And there was a time when it was I want 25%. I want to double my money every 4 years. Then it came down to every 5 years. If you're doubling your money every 4 to 5 years, you're doing good. IRR is a factor of that. It does play in because it's velocity and how fast am I getting my money back. But the way we structure deals, especially value add, your big pop is on the end. So IRR is important for me. It's just less important. I could care less about my going in cap rate because it's a value add deal. And honestly, I'm going to go in, I'm totally changing the expenses. We're usually dropping it by at least 30%, and we're popping income, we're forcing appreciation. So for me, it's at the end of the day, am I doubling my money every 4 to 5 years? So that's my answer. Margot?
Well, yeah, we have the same viewpoint, and we have a very specific buy box. And if it doesn't fit those criteria and some other ones, it's not for us. We look for specific properties that have needs, that have a story, so that we can improve them, so that we can force the appreciation. So, and then, those are the metrics that we go by, annualized returns, and so for average annualized returns, and what's it going to get you at the end of the day? That's really what we think investors want to know.
I love it. I'm eating that answer up like a delicious subscribe sandwich. As you can see, yeah, subtlety is my strong suit, and this is my subtle reminder. It's time to pull out the Dan Does Deals Commercial Core Competency Cube with the 6 different roles in a typical commercial deal. It is leaning a little bit towards the multifamily side, but I go through all 6 sides because it really is the linchpin on how I think you're going to be able to learn to more effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate deals. After all, I think that your career in this sector is going to depend on being able to communicate clearly. And if you're looking at the cube and thinking, wow, I really need one of those, the good news is it's free. You go to dandoesdeals.com, there's this great big button, you click on it, it sends you the PDF, you can print it out, you can practice, all that kind of stuff. And yes, you heard me right. I committed the cardinal sin of marketing. Never, ever, ever give away your freebie without asking for like an email address or some sort of contact information. I don't do that because I want nothing to slow you down from getting your hands on one of these. And let's get started first with the most visible people in real estate. They're definitely the repositioners. They are acquisitions people. They are doing all sorts of paperwork. They're looking at all sorts of properties. And what are they looking for? Well, first of all, they need to do the math to find out, okay, how much money is this place actually making right now, as opposed to what we're being told it's making right now. And also figuring out how are they running things where we can make some changes, we can reposition the property and find more upside. Now, the most peculiar way that these repositioners find upside is definitely the first one I'm going to explain, which is the financier role. Financiers are not part of the team. They might be fund managers, but regardless, they only interact with the owners of the property, money, and paperwork. That's it. So every single repositioner will have to have a big network of financiers, because if you can secure a more advantageous loan, aka cheaper money, that's going to make the property more profitable right there. So that's why they're always talking to financiers. But the more traditional spot for a repositioner to make a change is how the operations happen to stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. Now, of course, you don't have anywhere near as many toilets in self-storage, so operations looks a little bit different. But if you're like me, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm from the internet. So that means if I'm going to be on a real estate team, and the contribution for operations that I do is the web-based assets, any kind of automation, doing with CRMs or marketing or whatever. And speaking of marketing, it's important to realize that in commercial real estate, vacancy is the enemy. So even if you're like me, where you need to have a bigger property just to make some room for me, like 100 units or more, Well, you're probably going to be outsourcing to a third-party property management, and so the real way that I can contribute all the way from the internet is if we've got empty units, you need somebody with serious marketing chops to make sure that they get those units filled, and so that's where I can hop in on a GP role. But there's only so much you can do with operations to improve how it's done, so the next place a repositioner will look is they'll get a contractor team involved. Of course, if you're in self-storage, maybe that means adding additional self-storage units. But regardless of what kind of commercial real estate you're into, getting these contractors involved, it's not only expensive, but you got to be really careful to make sure you get return on your investment. So don't go gold plating those toilets. It's not a good idea. But of course, there's another thing that's really important. If you're spending all this money on this capital expenditure, you're going to need somebody who lives nearby. Because if push comes to shove and I have to show up to the property in a couple hours, I'd still be stuck at an airport. So you need somebody who can be there in an hour or two, because it sure won't be me. All right, so those are the boots on the ground. So next up, I want to talk about a little hypothetical because it helps you understand the last role. Let's say you've already bought a rental or two, maybe you're an engineer or a physician, an attorney, something like that, and you say to yourself, hey, I know how to buy a rental, I put down my down payment and I borrow the rest. And I bet if my friends and I put together $100K each, we could buy that 350 unit apartment complex down the road. So with full of confidence, you turn around to the financiers, you show up at the bank and say, I want to buy that building. It's tens of millions of dollars. You don't have, say, tens of millions of dollars you want to, say, lend us, do you? Well, the financiers are going to have one big question on their mind. If you have a guru right now, or you're in a mentorship or something like that, I encourage you to listen very careful to this next part, okay? They're going to ask, who's the KP? Who's the sponsor? What's that all about? Ultimately, every single lender is lending out either investor or depositor dollars. So the lenders have to make sure that the person who's receiving the loan isn't going to run the place into the ground with this loan money. So they're going to insist that somebody in the fold already owns a similar asset. So if you want to buy a 350 unit apartment complex, somebody on your team has to already own a 350 unit apartment complex. Now, that's not all. You still need a certain amount of liquidity to prove you can run the business. And between the ownership team for collateral, you're going to need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you have all those pieces, you got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So I don't know which one of the two of you want to kick things off. It sounds like you probably check pretty much all of the boxes, but what sides of the puzzle do you guys tend to focus on?
All of them.
Yeah. So we have a third-party management company that we use, and they are the number 3 in the industry for the way that we manage properties, which is primarily a remote or a hybrid model. We have boots on the ground on every project. The 2 deals that we've closed this year, Margot and I have been the sponsors because we've got seller financing. So it was easier than going the traditional route and dealing with banks, not to mention the interest rates that we got were phenomenal compared to what a bank would give us. What were some of the other sides of your box? And Margot, the rest of them.
Yeah, I think you covered it, and I get it that you're vertically integrated and remote based. So I think that's more than sufficient. So let's talk about the next part, which is the buy box. And I apologize, it is a little bit leaning towards multifamily, but when real estate people ask each other, hey, what you looking for? What's your buy box? What's your ideal property? We're asking about 3 main things. First one's geography. Where is it? Which state? Which county? Possibly even which neighborhood, okay? It's definitely going to matter. The second one's size. Now, in multifamily, you go by the number of apartment units, and the reason why it's relevant to know the size is because the type of group that takes over 10 or 15 unit apartment complexes, they're going to be fundamentally different from the ones that are taking over 100, 150, 200 unit apartment complexes. So that size is going to matter. Now, of course, there are other types of commercial real estate that go either by acreage acreage or square footage or some other form of unit count, but the size part, the reasoning behind its relevance remains the same. Now, the third one is commonly called class. I prefer the term desirability just because it's more than one thing. Specifically, it's the condition and the area. So if you're talking about the condition, it's, well, how old is the building or the property? How old is, or what kind of shape is it in? How recently has it been renovated and upgraded? And as far as luxuries and amenities, like, is it a really nice place, or is it supposed to be just a place to lay your head or your stuff? So that is the condition. Now the area, however, because commonly the people on my show have some sort of residential, like multifamily going on, the school districts are going to be relevant, whereas in self-storage, you know, I imagine it's a plus, but it wouldn't dictate it quite the same way, whereas the crime rate is always going to matter. And then the other one is the old trope that brokers say about location, 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 which really means traffic, traffic, traffic. If a gazillion people are passing by every single day, it's going to be automatically more valuable and more desirable than another place. And both the area and the condition, the way it's ranked is by the same way as in grade school. So you have A plus, then you have A, then A minus, then B plus, and B, and so on. So as far as locations, the whole buy box, what's really great for your self-storage acquisitions?
Well, I'll start with the last thing you were saying, which is class. And it's not quite as relevant with self-storage as multifamily, but we're not interested in A properties. We're looking for properties that we can improve because that's how we make money. And, you know, we'll certainly do a C minus. We don't need to be in a great neighborhood if the traffic is good and other things are where we want them. They still need to be big enough for the economies of scale to work, which isn't, again, as difficult as with multifamily, but like 300 doors or more, probably high 200s or more. We purchase in the $2 to $5 million range, and geographically, and we were finding this sort of at the end with multifamily too. It wasn't as much of picking an area as finding an opportunity and is it in an okay area. But with self-storage, the area is not anywhere near as important. Everybody needs self-storage. If it's within, 5-10 minutes of their house, that's great. So we look for areas where they're not saturated with self-storage, where there's good, traffic, like you say, and that's really more important for us. I'm sure, Christy, you have.
Well, I mean, let's also say, we have our traditional buy boxes, that $2 to $5 million range, and we're very flexible. As long as our property management company is already there, we'll go there. But when it comes down to it, we need a great story, something that's poorly managed, rents below comps, and low-hanging fruit. Sellers, for the great story, sellers have no desire to continue managing. They're boomers, they're ready to retire. They need a very capital gains friendly exit. Great story. Poorly managed, they have the same facility manager for way too long, like the property we just bought. They're not online. They don't have a good presence. They don't know what SEO is. It's terrible, which as a result means that the comps are below. They're below the comps. Yep. So there's a good chance to, without doing anything, there's a chance to bump. And then the low hanging fruit. Is the occupancy low? Can we do remote management to reduce expenses? Can we do tenant protection, add climate control, expand? So, while we do have our location and our size, we also need these other 4 aspects to be covered. And then we think, hey, this is probably a great deal. Let's make sure we can double our money in 4 to 5 years on it. Yeah. But we really want to exit in 3.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. So my next question has to do with people, and honestly, that's my favorite part about transitioning from tech into commercial real estate. It's people are much warmer in real estate. They're eager to help and give advice and make introductions to the people who can complete your team. But because it's so multifaceted, people tend to hunker down on one or more roles and really get good at those. Nobody can do all of them all by themselves. But at the same time, because we have our own unique skill sets, we're going to be more helpful to some people more than others. Me personally, because I'm on the internet, that means that I'm always eager to speak to the sponsors and KPs because they have a business where a person like me can make a bigger difference. Whereas when you're first starting out as a local or repositioner, you need grunts who are willing to put in 80 to 120 hours a week, and that's just not how I'm at my best. So that's who I'm looking to do to interact with. And of course, everybody in this industry is ultimately in the business of deploying capital. So that's the other one that everybody is eager to speak to. But as far as you guys, if you have any 506B deals, don't mention them specifically, especially if you mention investors. But who's in the audience that you're most eager to speak to?
Anybody with a 401k or an IRA.
Excellent.
That's how you make some more money.
Yeah, we are great at finding deals, but as everyone else, as with any business, if you're not constantly raising, you're going to die. And so, we are always looking for people who want to invest primarily as LPs, but also JVs. We are happy to JV with someone. If you have a deal and, you don't want anybody else and you've got the funds, we're happy to JV with you. So, we also, on some deals in the future, we will need a sponsor. This is a fact of life. We can't all do every deal by ourselves. So, at some point, we need a sponsor. Maybe we don't get the seller financing.
Right.
I think that's who we're really looking for.
Excellent. Did you have more to add, Margot? I wasn't sure.
Nope.
No, okay, excellent. So, and that's why I was presumptuous enough to say, oh, everybody's deploying capital. It's, the people who I've run into who interact with billionaires, they say the same thing. They're sourcing capital and sourcing deals.
Always.
So there's no, you don't hit the brakes on that one. But that's fantastic. That's the people part covered. So the next part must be how to reach out. And me personally, you can see my name in the corner right here, and it's pretty distinct. So really easy to find, especially on LinkedIn, which is the social media platform where I spend most of my time. And of course, if you hop on to Amazon.com, I've got a few different books out on different business skill building aspects. But if you are thinking of raising capital, if you are an entrepreneur or somehow you want to raise capital from passive investors, I highly encourage you to scan this QR code. You can pause the video if you want to. It'll take you to the FAQs page of 506BME, which is the platform that we offer to help you document and back up and maintain that documentation of your substantive investor relations. The reason is because if you drop your laptop into the bathtub and the SEC comes knocking asking for your documentation, that's not a good enough excuse. So we can help with that. You can check it out. As far as you guys go, I see what I pronounce as Wii CRE because I played enough Nintendo with the Wii and that kind of stuff. But as far as like social media or phone, email, website, what are the best ways to reach out?
Well, we pronounce it WeCRE, which is we invest in commercial real estate. And we have here, I'm Christy at WeCRE.com and Margot is Margot at WeCRE.com. Also LinkedIn, please reach out on LinkedIn or on our website.
Okay, excellent.
And WICRE, WIICRE. We invest in commercial real estate. Yep.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And the last part, it's actually not for the two of you. It's for the members of the audience. It's the public service announcement. If you've been watching this episode and experiencing searing pains in your eyeballs, like migraine, like I'm confident it's because of the downright hideous subscribe button that you can get rid of for free. You just do the thing, and it's that way you won't get embarrassed when people see that you haven't hit the subscribe button. They'll be like, I thought I knew you and you didn't. Okay. Here's the full disclosure. The reason I want people to hit the subscribe button is because if enough people do, YouTube will actually start to pony up and pay for these videos instead of me. And I think that would be amazing. And the trade-off to you is just that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions, but you can go ahead and ignore those suggestions. Because quite frankly, I just appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. Just like Christy and Margot. Thanks for joining me. This has been great.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey there. Are you interested in commercial real estate deals? Would you like to build your network of investors and deal sponsors? Well, the best thing I can do for you is have you appear on a chance encounter interview as featured on dandoesdeals.com. You may know me from 506B.me or as a top commercial real estate voice on LinkedIn. And if I had to think of the top factors in your success in commercial real estate, my top two would be your network and your ability to effectively explain how deals work with effective communication. The 15-minute chance encounter format, it checks both of those boxes, and they ensure that you can share your private deals with me without the SEC calling it a public solicitation. So hop onto LinkedIn. You can see my name is over here, Dan Friedenberg, and search for my name. And the best way to reach me and book that is to message me through LinkedIn. And don't worry, it doesn't matter if you decided to enter this space just last week or 2 weeks ago, or if it was decades ago. It'll be fun and easy to look good. We're just asking multiple choice questions based on your core competencies you look to contribute, your level of sophistication, all that kind of stuff. So I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay. Are you already logged into 506BME?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506BME, everybody.